Hey, what's up, iCkEdMeL? Welcome to the channel. I wanted to stop in and give you guys an update. I got all these lights, outside lights, the light behind me. I don't know. It's kind of weird, like too much lighting. I don't know. I wanted to give you guys an update with regards to Quawan Charles and just kind of catch up a little bit. And I've been sick. You guys an update. Oops, echoing here. I've been sick the last couple of days. My daughter got sick last Friday. And then on Sunday, I started to get sick. And I was barely able to get out the video with that Kanye story that I did. And so a lot of people have been messaging me. I'm pretty behind on the messages. What's up, everybody? Welcome. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. I appreciate it. Got some tea, some hot tea. Might start sweating. What's up? What's up? Welcome. I don't know what I got. I honestly don't know what I got because I didn't get a fever, but I just started getting congested. And I had the mucus, congestion. What else did I have? Coughing, but no fever. And it was weird. Oh, and a lot of headaches. And it reminded me of when I got sick earlier in 2020. And Elise, what's up, man? Thank you for coming. I'm glad you're out of the hospital. John, what's up, man? We just got justice for a 3-year-old. Taraji Carter murdered. I haven't heard of that story. I'm gonna have to check that out, man. You guys could check out John Marston on Facebook. He's from Texas. He's on the ground type of person. So I'll check out that story after this stream. But yeah, I don't know. I got sick and it didn't feel like a normal sick. It reminded me earlier in 2020 when I got sick and it wasn't a full sick. I don't think I really got a fever. I had some cough, congestion, body aches. My stomach was hurting, a lot of headaches. And it all felt kind of manufactured to me. What I mean by that is like not like the normal way of getting sick. Something about it just felt unnatural. Not that there's something natural about getting sick, but almost like this time I got sick, it felt almost kind of synthetic. I don't know. It was just really weird. Really weird. No one knew about I'm sorry if I want to pronounce this right. Tahari Carter case. All right, yeah, definitely. I'll check it out, man. Maybe we can link up. I'm gonna definitely look it up. I'm totally for stories that aren't getting attention. The other thing too, before we get into this Quawan story, because I've been kind of just out of it, but before the last video that I made, I was working on a story. Let me see if I can get all this information up. I'm so lost here. I was working on a story. Okay. Before Devontae Richardson, which is when I got sick, I barely made that video. I was working on another case. I had been gone for a couple of days. And I'm not sure where I'm at with this case, but I literally got the court documents. Like literally over 100 pages. I mean, I don't want to show the front side. Court documents, 100 pages. Serious case, CPS. Multiple children, documents that are considered sealed. And the only problem with this case is that it's not the full, there's missing pieces. It's not the full court transcript. And it makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because I want to know the whole story. I can't do something just on a biased level. I don't want to advocate for somebody and it's just one side. What's up? What's up? So, yo, thank you guys for joining. Let's get into the Quawan. Bobby Charles. This is kind of a, I don't know what to think of this story. Let me pull up my old notes because there's two things going on right now. The autopsy results came back, I guess, like the full autopsy results. And it doesn't really answer questions if you ask me. There we go. Quawan Charles. So what I wanted to do before we get into the newest updates, I figured we can go back a little bit. I'm not going to play the entire video But Janet Irvin was arrested recently. And this is the woman that you see Quawan. He leaves his house. He leaves the house, runs out, gets in the car with Janet and Gavin. These people obviously knew each other. This wasn't like a first time thing. You know what I'm saying? Part of my voice was congested. This wasn't like a first time thing. They knew each other. They get out the car. They go, Jason, what's up? They go and say hi to the dog and they run off. And so I wanted to play you a little bit of a previous video I did with regards to Janet's history. And Janet really reminds me of one of those people, one of those party moms or like a teacher that like entices children. No, come out, hang out with me after school kind of thing. One of these party moms, the cool moms that's doing all kinds of things with the children that they shouldn't be doing. That's the vibe that I get from her. So I'm going to play this clip. And we're going to get into it. Let me see here. Checking out the chat.
All right. Tommy Romero said investigators have spoken with at least one witness who reportedly saw Charles before his death in the area where he was later found. I'm wondering about that witness, and I'm wondering about the video that they said he was supposedly wandering on his own by himself, which still doesn't clear this family, because if he had been given substances, I'm pretty sure he'll be still held accountable. We've obtained and reviewed video evidence showing Quawan near that area. He said video evidence indicates no other individuals present with Quawan or anyone else present for some time before or after he is seen on the recording. A few hours later, according to the autopsy, Quawan was found dead in a drainage ditch, which at the time had ankle deep water. And I see a lot of people focusing and obsessed with it's 2 feet of water. I don't think anybody's indicating that child walked to 2 feet of water and he just drowned in 2 feet of water. Something happened to him. Obviously, something happened to him, whether it was substance related, he passed out or freaked out or something, or somebody did something to him. But if the videos are accurate, who knows what could have been given to him. The St. Mary coroner's office determined earlier that Quawan may have drowned, his lungs filled with mud and water. He could have fell down flat. Some people believe that this was done maliciously. So if it was done maliciously, somebody could have held him down. But if the videos are accurate, and I'm not even sure how video footage would show if he was in these sugarcane fields that are 10 feet tall, if somebody else was in there with him. But I'm thinking, my theory has been that he may have been given some substances. He took this stuff, might have had a bad reaction. He might have been freaking out. I don't know if he just got up and left. It doesn't make any sense that this family that picked him up, I think if you're a parent and you're picking up a child from a house, which this person clearly lacks any kind of responsibility, Janet. But if you're a parent, and I take that seriously, if somebody was to ask me to watch their kid, I would take that seriously. It's not a joke to me. But you should at least be responsible enough to drop that kid off. Even if they're on something, you shouldn't let that kid walk out. You should take them back. Maybe they couldn't even drive themselves, and then maybe the condition that they were in, if what the tip person called and said was true. This is another picture here. According to court records, mother of 3, Janet Irvin, has been arrested 5 times since 2002. In 2010, the father of her 2 youngest children told a court in sworn statement asking for a restraining order in the custody of the 5-year-old Kylie and the 2-year-old Joshua that Irvin was abusive and violent.
And I think it's really important. That's why I'm kind of playing some of this over, to know this woman's history. It's important because it plays a role in this situation, I think.
You definitely cannot look away from her. There's just no way with that kind of history and the last person that he was with. I'm not saying that
we're going to talk about that, Gene.
Physically did something to him, but it's very possible that he was given stuff. And he's a young guy in high school. This is the trailer park where Quawan was last seen alive. Witness the crushing poverty of Louisiana's agriculture. This is the picture here. The medical examiner blamed the damage on aquatic animals, which I think is possible too. It's possible. We don't know, but it's possible. We're going to have to wait for the forensics, the rest of the forensics. little animals could have came. But when Quan's relatives called in to identify the body and saw his face, they
That's
suspected
true,
that
D.
there was more
Walsh.
to his disappearance and death. They noticed parts of his lips and left cheek were missing, while there were lacerations on his forehead. The medical examiner blamed the damage on aquatic animals, while the family compared the photos to Quan's of Emmett Till, which we briefly spoke about on the live stream. The live stream wasn't about Emmett Till. There's a lot of documentaries online. I couldn't stop the live stream that was about Quan to go into a whole story about Emmett Till. Quan's family is waiting for the results of an independent autopsy. The teen has been laid to rest on Saturday. Early on, the sheriff's office investigation centered on Irvine's trailer, and I believe this is the trailer they probably searched. It was searched, okay, but yielded no clue of what could have happened to Quan's death, which I wouldn't be surprised since it was days later. If there were substances in that trailer,
Right.
they would have cleaned it out. By now
Right.
they had so much time. You know what I'm saying? They would have cleaned out that trailer. Sometimes a lot of these substances too don't stay in the body for long at all. So you could have done something, you could have been on something, 2-3 days later, clear out.
I was talking with Lori, and she sent me a bunch of articles with regards to mushrooms and that whole phone call that Anonymous was talking about, where the person called and they stated that they were on mushrooms. And the toxicology report, there was only THC and ethanol found, which ethanol is alcohol. And I guess if they're testing for mushrooms, they'll find it if it was in their system or not. But mushrooms is something that metabolizes like super fast. I didn't even know this. I can't find the articles right now, but I had like 3 or 4 articles I was looking at, and it's kind of hard to detect. It's just really, unless it's specifically being looked for, it goes out of the body fast, you know?
Though I'm not sure, though if they did a hair test, a follicle hair test, I think they can still detect it afterwards. A few days later, however, the Irvines and a man living with them were evicted. That's interesting that they say a man living with them were evicted from the trailer park by Buddy Chasson, a local mechanic whose family owns a trailer. He says, "Yeah, I evicted them," Chasson said, as he fixed his client's flat tire at his shop by Loreauville's only traffic light. They had until November 12th to leave. They didn't flee. They were told to leave. I have no idea where they went. They weren't welcome here, but had nothing to do with the death of this young man.
Hey, Gina.
But why did you evict him? If it has nothing to do with that, why did you evict him? While Chasson declined to discuss the reasons for the eviction at first, he eventually admitted he received reports of drug activity at the trailer and wanted no part of it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the history is kind of important to kind of put the pieces together. It's still, and we're going to see in a minute, because they're saying, well, there's one side that's saying, well, this is potential suicide or whatever. And then there's another side that's saying, well, this is clear evidence of homicide. Hey, Brownstone,
Wow.
thanks for coming.
Like in rural towns everywhere, where boredom and desperation form combustive combination of opioids and crime and have become a scourge in the small town Louisiana. According to the court records, the mother of 3, Janet, has been arrested 5 times since 2002. She has a date with local criminal court judge in December and faces charges of possession of synthetic cannabinoid and possession of drug paraphernalia. Yo, that synthetic spice and all that crazy stuff, that stuff is no joke. People have gone to the hospital for that stuff. It's just like fake weed. They use all these different chemicals. God knows what.
Angela.
It's so harmful for you.
And a lot of that stuff can't be detected. A lot of that stuff, chemical, synthetic, Chinese stuff coming from China, they're going to demonetize this now. I'm not allowed to say that. A lot of the stuff is not detectable. A lot of the research chemicals, you can go online and look up research chemicals. There's a bunch of kids just taking research chemicals. You don't even know what that shit is. They're just taking it, putting it in their body. Good luck detecting it.
I mean, if he had that, if they
GG,
gave
what's
him
up?
that could offer some sort of explanation. You know, people's heart rates have gone high. They've had to go to the hospital, just tachycardia. Bad people for him to be around. And it's crazy. I'm not saying this is parents' fault at all, but not crazy, but it's ironic, you know, because you move away to get away from the trouble in this other town, and he goes to this other town or whatever, and now he's in with these people, which he knew. It seems like he knew them from before anyway, you know. That's crazy. In February 2019, she was charged with felony possession of hydrocodone after a traffic stop in Lafayette Parish, according to the court records. That's what I say. Who knows?
Thank you. Please hit the
What
like
could have
button.
even been in his system? I think the toxicology is going to be very important.
So this is a woman that has a long ass history of drugs, basically.
Because I think it's going to tell us about what happened, what may have been given to him, what may have been provided to him. And this guy here, Irvin's dad, Alvin Irvin, he doesn't know where his daughter is and hasn't spoken to her in 3 months. He hinted that no one else in their family has contacts with Janet. I have no idea what happened to the kid Quawan, but whatever's happening, she brought this on herself. A lot of people were going after this guy too, Alvin. Man, this is, I can't even lie. This is looking like this is all pointing towards this woman. All of it.
And this is a previous video I did. Thank you, Angela.
I think, is this Celine?
Appreciate the super chat.
Selena Charles. She called in the other day on the show. The case was dismissed when prosecutors admitted the reason for the search of her vehicle by deputies sparked allegations that the deputies smelled marijuana inside the vehicle was not supported by the facts. In July 2011, Irvin was charged with simple burglary and criminal trespass. She took a plea deal and ended up with 1 year probation. She failed, however, to appear in the follow-up hearing and was rearrested in 2013 for a violation of probation. According to public records, she served 2 days at the local jail. In 2006, Irvin was charged with possession of stolen goods and theft and fraud. She took another plea deal from prosecutors, received another 6 months. Life must be good for this woman. Not anymore, though. In 2002, Janet was charged with possession of alcohol by a minor. She
Check
was
this
19, and with the case was dismissed after she paid 100. Okay, so she was underage. Paid $116 fine. In family court too, allegations have been made against the last person believed to be seen alive with Quawan. In 2010, the father of their 2 youngest children told the court in a sworn statement asking for restraining order and custody of 5-year-old and 2-year-old Joshua and Kylie that Irvin was abusive and violent. I want her and her drug and alcohol problems away from my kids, electrician Joshua wrote in a statement. She's dropping my son on the floor, allowing my kids to play in the street, allowing my 2-year-old to drink out of her beer, stealing my prescription medication, my money, taking my truck in the middle of the night while we were asleep. In time, the judge did approve of a restraining order that mandated Irvin to stay at least 100 feet away from Romero's home and electric company.
Look what fathers have to go through just to get their kids, right? You got to be high on drugs, giving the baby beer, all kinds of stuff. All right. We'll get you the restraining order. Finally. You know what I'm saying?
Like, worked for it. The order was rescinded in 2017 when Irvin was able to prove she had straightened out.
And it was rescinded after.
They're looking back at that now. Irvin's dad, Alvin Irvin, told the Daily Mail he doesn't know where his daughter is and hasn't spoken to her in 3 months. Wow.
And so I think that's it for that video. I also wanted to show you guys a little bit before we get to the newest updates. I just wanted to give that context with the audio that came out.
Hey, what's up, iCkEdMeL? Welcome.
And it's like, I feel like she's responsible because she picked him up. They were at his house. Supposedly, this kid threatened to kill himself. We don't know if that's true or not. Supposedly, he threatened to kill himself, and she still didn't call the cops. You get it right here. Let's see.
Is what we've been talking about previously on the video. So, first of all, if you haven't seen this video that I made about Janet and Gavin and the history of her that she has, even with other kids
Crystal.
and her ex, and you need to go check out that video. Quick FYI, Janet is the woman that comes with her son, Gavin, in the car to pick up Quawan. And they go outside of the car, they play with the dog, and they leave. So obviously they knew about each other. And if you watch the history video, you'll know how they're associated. They went to school together and all that kind of stuff, though the parents say they didn't know Gavin.
Attorneys for the family say the newly revealed audio implicates Janet Irvin, who was allegedly the last woman seen with him. Those attorneys now calling for her arrest.
Yes, I should have called the cops. I should have went further.
Attorneys for the family of Quawan Charles.
So she was saying that she should have called the cops, should have went further because they were aware that he didn't make it home that night. And from what we're going to read the Crime Online article too. I have it here somewhere. We're going to read the Crime Online article, but apparently, allegedly, they knew that he didn't get home.
Charles say this audio, obtained exclusively by CBS This Morning, is Janet Irvin admitting to a private investigator she did not call police right after she realized Quawan ran away from her home. Irvin and her 17-year-old son are allegedly...
And we spoke about that. I mean, the story she's saying is the story she's saying. Who knows if that's even all true or what is or what's not. But I'm going to play the clips for you after how we spoke about that on the previous one of the previous videos.
Two of the last people to see the 15-year-old alive.
I get off of work at like noon Friday. So we go out to Baldwin, we pick him up.
Surveillance video appears to show Irvin picked Quawan up outside his father's house in Baldwin, Louisiana on October 30th, the same day he was reported missing by his parents. In the audio recordings, Irvin's son tells a private investigator he and Quawan did drugs at Irvin's home.
Did he smoke something or did he, smoke some weed, that was it.
So he said they smoked weed and that was it. It's possible that was it. It's possible that it was not. And like I said, it's important to know her history, because if you see her history, there was synthetic substances in her history. So I just wonder if he had gotten some sort of synthetic substance, and if there was more, they probably wouldn't admit to it anyway, but it would come out in the results, the test results, which we're still waiting on.
Ronald Haley and Chase Trishelle are attorneys for Quawan's family. It was their private investigator who recorded this conversation with Irvin and her son. Haley says when Irvin did not call the police until days after Quawan disappeared, she committed a crime.
She knew something was wrong and did nothing. And the fact that she did nothing, it speaks volumes as to what her involvement was in this case.
The coroner's office says he likely drowned, but according to the family's attorney, the water in the sugarcane field is very shallow. They believe if drugs were in Quawan's system, it contributed to his death.
And so that's kind of some of those videos. I want to take you guys to the most up-to-date stuff. By the way, the autopsy results, the preliminary ones, I believe both of them are the preliminary ones. So we already looked at this one, American Forensics, previously, which is very brief. But this one, it's pretty much the same thing. Let me just show you guys a close-up. So this was before the final autopsy results, and they were stating that evidence of drowning, muddy water in airways, hyperinflated lungs, water in sphenoid sinuses, no ante-mortem injuries, meaning that there was no injuries they could identify before his death, like meaning he wasn't beat to death or somebody did something foul. No natural disease. There were no ante-mortem injuries found on the descendant's face at an autopsy, meaning any lacerations on the face after the autopsy were due to autopsy procedure. Post-mortem injuries on the face are likely aquatic animal activity and from the descendant being found in the water. Photographs taken during the course of the autopsy. At this time, there's no evidence of ante-mortem trauma. That was preliminary. So, excuse me. So now, fast forward to the most recent stuff, and I wanted to play you two clips. Well, let me start off with Iberia Parish Sheriff Tommy Romero, what he said, his statements, 45 seconds. And then we'll get into these two news clips because they both say something kind of different. And this is kind of like the both sides of the argument that I was talking about. So, and then I'm going to read you some information that was really interesting about how Quawan was found, information that I haven't heard before. Getting congested again. All right, do this.
This is Sheriff Tommy Romero. Today at approximately 11 a.m., the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office Bureau of Investigations made an arrest in the Quawan Charles case. Janet Irvin was booked into the Iberia Parish Jail on the following charges. Felony charge of failure to report a missing child and contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I'm confident that my office has put together an extremely strong case against Mrs. Irvin. Immediately upon the arrest, I personally spoke with the parents of Quawan Charles. I hope this arrest begins to help their family heal. And by no means is this case closed.
Let me show you this other one. By the way, if you're listening on headphones, I can only hear this out of one ear. This audio is kind of jacked.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. We have new developments in the case of Quawan Bobby Charles, whose mysterious death has left the community and investigators puzzled. In November, his body was found in a sugarcane field near the home of the family last seen with him.
Today, the family's attorneys released the results of his long-awaited toxicology report. News 10's Britt LaFaso joins us in studio to tell us what their report uncovered. The family's attorneys say this autopsy report proves that Charles's death was not accidental, but intentional. The report says both THC and ethanol were in Charles's system, but...
So over here, they're saying it's not accidental, but intentional. Which to me, it's still like, how do you prove that it's intentional? Like, we get that she's at fault so far. She picked Quawan up with her child, Gavin. They were there doing substances.
And ethanol were in Charles's system, but no other chemicals were found. The attorneys say the Irvin family, the family last seen with Charles, told their investigators that Charles was high on hallucinogens. They added that they believed this was the reason Charles left their home on foot and never returned. According to attorneys, the toxicology report proves that the Irvin family was lying in an attempt to cover up what really...
So they're saying there was no hallucinogens detected and that they were lying. So... where did they, if the family's stating he was on, the audio stated THC and alcohol. Some people consider THC a hallucinogen, some don't. I read an article, it's kind of conflicting. And if you're going to try to prove their innocence, which she's still culpable, maybe you're going to have to provide the drugs that you gave. What's the drug and your source? Who gave you the drugs? Who'd you buy it from?
Charles's cause of death is still drowning, but attorneys are now posing this question. If Charles was not high on hallucinogens, how did he drown in ankle-deep water? Coming up tonight at 5 and 6, we'll hear from the attorneys themselves.
Hey, Butterfly.
The Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office has not released their toxicology report.
That's a good question. Scotty said, what's the charge? So the charge of Janet Irvine, 37, they charged her with contributing to the delinquency of a minor and failure to report a child missing. That's it so far. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor and failure to report a missing child. Which to me suggests that maybe they don't have a lot, as far as evidence. Yeah, I'm sick. I've been sick for people that are just joining, I've been sick since Sunday. Maddie got sick first, and then I got sick. And so I just came on to give an update because a lot of people joined up and messaged me. And I'm starting to get the congestion coming through now. But let me show you guys this too now. So here's the other side, because local KLFY autopsy results suggest Quawan Bobby Charles suffered psychotic episode and committed suicide. That is a pretty bold statement to put on your headline, right? So there's two sides of this whole thing with Quawan, and this is what makes this really mysterious, because I feel like it's almost like the autopsy results don't really tell us much. Still, like, okay, THC, alcohol, still, how does that lead to suicide? I don't know if that's what they're stating. Let me check this out.
To 15-year-old Quawan Bobby Charles's
Thanks, Lisa. Appreciate
death. The official autopsy report suggests Charles
I think so,
may have
Miranda.
committed suicide.
News 10's Britt LaFaso.
Well, as far as failure to report a minor, I don't think that's circumstantial. And delinquency to a minor, I don't know the definition of that, but I feel she does bear some responsibility in the least of picking up that kid. I don't know who provided the substances. Was it Gavin? Was it Janet? To me, she comes off as like the party mom, and he leaves supposedly freaked out, and she doesn't call the cops. She doesn't tell nobody, nothing. Doesn't even call the parents.
also joins us in the studio to explain why the Iberia Parish coroner
She's locked up
Charles
now, yeah.
may have killed himself and what his family's attorneys are saying.
In the official autopsy report,
And the thing is, too, is like, how do you kill yourself in like 2 feet of water, though? That's kind of like, so, I mean, all right, I'm going to kill myself. You're just going to slowly just lay in this 2 feet of water head first. It's just, it still doesn't, you know,
the
I don't know.
Iberia Parish coroner said Quawan Charles may have had a psychotic episode and killed himself by drowning. Attorneys for Charles' family
okay,
say
thank you.
that's ridiculous.
You read it, they say suicides by drowning, although they happen, they're rare. You add that to the fact that he allegedly drowned in what, a half a foot of water, 2 feet of water.
That's tough.
Kind of makes
That's hard. That's a hard
the
push.
idea that he killed himself in that manner not plausible.
It's an idea the Iberia Parish coroner, however, says is possible. He says that's because the Irvins, the family last seen with Charles, said Charles told them he wanted to kill himself before he left their home on the night of October 30th.
When he mentions that suicide is a possibility, we have to question that 2 ways. One, where is he getting that information from? Likely he's getting the information from the same family that he was with when he disappeared. And so that has to come into question the veracity of what that statement or who that statement was made by in the circumstances on which they made it. That's the first thing.
There's more, however, that led the coroner to suggest Charles committed suicide. The toxicology report shows Charles had low levels of THC and alcohol in his system when he died. The coroner said it's possible the THC caused hallucinations and psychosis in the teen. The report says his psychotic episode was evident by the behavior the night that he went missing. Witnesses say they saw the boy crawling in culverts then. Because his body was found without clothes, the coroner says his undressing further suggests a psychotic episode. He believes the psychosis could have led him to drown himself in the sugarcane ditch. The coroner said the fact that the Irvin family told investigators Charles said he wanted to kill himself before he left their home further suggests he committed suicide.
Take what's being said about Quawan with a grain of salt, because the folks that are making these statements are the same folks that are the subject of a criminal investigation to his disappearance and death. And so, in my opinion, it appears that they are trying to pass the buck and cover up for whatever they did to Quawan.
I did reach out to the Iberia Parish Sheriff's Office for comment about these new findings. They said the autopsy report was added to the investigation file and that they are moving to the next phase in the investigation. Reporting in the studio, Britt LaFosse.
I'm not sure why just the mom. The mom does have a long history. The mother is the person that picked up the kid, that picked up Quan. She came up there with Gavin. And the system was THC and ethanol. They said low levels of THC. I mean, there's just something not adding up. Let me read you something else from, let me tell you what article this came from. So this came from KATC, this article right here. Let me read you a little bit of this description. Okay. Let me get it full screen for you guys. So, attorneys for the family of Quawan Charles released an autopsy report conducted on the teen's body. This was posted February 8th, 2021. The report prepared by Louisiana Forensic Center says the teen cause of death was drowning. The manner of death is undetermined. So I feel like it doesn't answer everything. That's really unfortunate. It lists as a witness to the autopsy of the Iberia Parish, blah, blah, blah. The report includes some information not previously released. It states that Charles' body was naked when it was found. And it had been captured alone on surveillance video near where his body was found. This is one of the biggest things that I've been kind of wondering about. Because they say that there was video, not just when he was picked up, but they're saying there was video of him wandering around right before his body was found. And my thing is, like, why haven't they released that? Why haven't they put that out? That's a pretty big deal. And this is the first time that I'm hearing about this, that he was naked when found. And I actually kind of have somewhat of a story to share with you guys. I can't tell you the full story of my own personal experience, but we'll get into it. It also states that Charles was spotted crawling in culverts near a school. I don't know what that is. You guys could tell me in the comments. What's culverts? I know one of you guys might know. Culverts. Oh, so this is what a culvert is. Let me just show you in the chat for people that might not know. And this is why I just find it hard to believe that was he really just on low levels of THC? If this is true, because this sounds to me like some sort of trip, acid mushroom trip. I mean, THC I know hits everybody different, but I've smoked before and I've had really bad experiences. Like freak out, I gotta leave. Like I'll literally leave a group of people. But near a school, and that he became combative and threatened to kill himself after smoking drugs, possibly marijuana or mushrooms. And that's the thing too. Like, who knows these days what people are putting in their weed, right? I'm gonna share a story with you too from a friend of mine. Well, he's not a friend anymore. A guy that I used to be friends with a long time ago, where he went out with friends and he smoked something that they gave him. He thought it was just weed and it was something else. The doctor who prepared the report finds that it is unknown why or how Charles drowned. It's unknown. The uncertainties about whether his drowning represents an accidental, suicidal, or homicidal death makes an undetermined manner of death most appropriate likely. So we don't know. They don't really give us a cause of death. Like what exactly was it, accidental, suicidal, or homicidal? Though you have one news report saying definitively it's homicidal, and then you have another news report saying it's definitively suicidal, but we just don't know. But it doesn't make sense, that's for sure. The positive toxicology report is noted, and the behavior caught on video and related by witnesses, which I think maybe they should release that, unless the family doesn't want it released, indicates possible psychosis. And this is what we talked about previously on the other videos. The spice, or see, I see you guys in the comments now talking about PCP, wet, or whatever. I mean, how long is wet detectable? Up to, right? Although the levels of marijuana and alcohol found were low, it's possible substances had metabolized, and that's really important too with this, had metabolized as the body was found several days after. Metabolized, right? How many drugs do you know stay forever in your system? A lot of these drugs, some of them, they're in and out like that. It's possible the substances have metabolized. There are no ante-mortem injuries to suggest a struggle, although it cannot be entirely ruled out. The report states, in addition, alleged video evidence suggests that he was likely alone, making a struggle leading to a homicidal drowning unlikely. And this is kind of where, like, why I think it's important, this woman's history. I don't think we can dismiss it, because the synthetic stuff, the codeine, and all this other stuff. Who knows if he had had something in that weed? Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Sorry. But all we got is the toxicology was positive for THC and metabolites, and for alcohol. The THC is an active substance in marijuana. So as far as the injuries, you can detect hair follicles. Yeah, that's true, Brownstone Jen. You detect drugs in the hair follicles for months. So, yeah, the reports indicate there was no acute antemortem injuries found on the body. No antemortem refers to the time before death. There are postpartum injuries, meaning after death, consistent with animal and or insect activity on the face. which is another big deal that this woman didn't report Quawan missing, and it was found days later. The eyes were free of, I don't even know how to pronounce that, potashi, which are dots that form when tiny blood vessels burst, an indication of strangulation. His hyoid bone was intact. A broken one is also indication of strangulation. The first time I ever heard of hyoid bone, I guess it's like right here, was when I was covering the story of Jeffrey Epstein. And Jeffrey Epstein, I really don't believe that guy killed himself. And one of the people that did, I think, the autopsy or whatever, they said that his hyoid bone was intact. Supposedly, allegedly, whatever. The report indicates that there was no indication of injury to his neck or any other area in his body. There were no bruises, abrasions, or lacerations. His nose wasn't broken. There was no muddy water in his nose. So the attorneys for his family members issued a statement, again accusing a woman of homicide and demanding she be arrested for her role in this cause of death. And I think that's it as far as that. Let me play for you guys this clip.
Breaking news tonight, an arrest has been made in the case of Quawan Bobby Charles.
Janet Irvin faces a felony charge of failure to report a missing
Audio's
child,
kinda low
as
here.
well as
Sorry.
contributing to the delinquency of a minor. She was booked into the Iberia Parish Jail this afternoon. News 10's Britt LaFaso joins us live at the Iberia Parish Jail to tell us what led to today's arrest. Britt.
Yeah, Janet Irvin has been at the center of this investigation since the very beginning, whenever Quawan Charles was found dead. It's been nearly 3 months, and investigators have arrested Janet Irvin, and she now sits behind bars right here at this building at the Iberia Parish Jail. Janet's involvement in Charles's death became a topic of debate as soon as Quawan's body was found. You see, Janet Irvin is the woman who picked up Quawan Bobby Charles the day that he went missing. She and her son picked Quawan up on October 30th and brought them to their home. She told investigators Quawan took drugs at their home.
That's what I was thinking, YouTube user.
When he woke up, he allegedly started an argument and left their home, saying he was going to kill himself. Janet never called police, not even when Quawan's parents reported him missing that night. 4 days later, Quawan's naked body was found in a sugarcane ditch right behind Janet Irvin's home. Days after Quawan's body was found, Janet Irvin and her family were seen packing up their belongings in a U-Haul truck and moving. Since then, suspicions about her involvement have reached the entire nation, and Quawan's family's attorneys have continuously called for her arrest. Today, Janet Irvin's arrest finally came.
I'm confident that my office has put together an extremely strong case against Mrs. Irvin. Immediately,
The charges could increase, but to me, the charges of her just what is it? Negligence. Let me look it up here real quick. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor and failure to report a missing child is not enough to me.
upon the arrest, I personally spoke with the parents of Quawan Charles. I hope this arrest begins to help their family heal. And by no means is this case closed.
The mud.
Again, Janet Irvin is behind bars right now here at the Iberia Parish Jail. Again, she is charged.
The mud, I'll read it to you guys again. The mud states here that, okay, it said his nose wasn't broken. There was muddy water in his nose. The other thing, too, as far as synthetic spice, I used to know people that would smoke spice. I smoked it. I tried it once. Never again in my life. That's one of those things. It was just, I was retarded. I was retarded. It was really, really not good. But I know people that would smoke spice to avoid their drug tests. I've heard of military people at the time smoking spice. And I think that there's different. It's not that just that, okay, we can detect spice and that's it. There's so many different strains and different chemicals. Research chemicals are often not detected in drug tests. And People can take this stuff. You can get it in your mail. You can go online, order it from whoever. You can order. There was a chemical. I can't remember the name that I was looking to a long time ago. That's a research chemical that you can get addicted. You can overdose, and you can order it in your mail with no problem. There's a lot of research chemicals. There's laws that they go around and stuff. It's a whole big thing. Even marijuana, there's research chemicals of marijuana, JWH something, I forget. Let me play this.
Hey, what's up with iCkEdMeL?
Let's see, it's quick. It's just towards the end of this video. Let's see.
Then things over, and if you're in mud, just many times that are not good and dangerous. And if you watch my video, the shroom video, there's people out there that when you're in this vulnerable position, because you're vulnerable, they like to take advantage. Maybe they think it's fun. Maybe they'll try to give you other things. I had a friend a long time ago, many years ago, friend Chris, he told me this story that like he went to the club with his friends and he thought they were smoking regular weed, like marijuana. He thought it was smoking regular stuff. And I guess they thought it would be funny to give him laced stuff. It wasn't what he thought it was. He was knocked out, passed out in the club. I don't know what they gave this guy, passed out. And he came to a while after. And so we're going to keep following the story. We're going to see what.
Yeah, I remember my friend Chris told me that story a long time ago. Where he went out with these group of people. He thought they were cool or whatever. And they went out to some hip hop club or whatever. And they were all smoking. And so he took a hit of whatever they had. And dude passed out. Dude passed out and came to way later. I had no idea what happened. You know, I had a situation once too. I never spoke about it. One day I will, maybe in the future, because I know these people are just recording and everything. One day I'll probably speak about it. There was one time where I took off my clothes. It was a crazy ass situation. And you never know. I'm telling you, there's a lot of research chemicals out there that these kids are getting a hold of that you could just order it in the mail like it's nothing. I do have my video here. There's one experience that I posted about the mushroom experience. I could play this for you guys, and then we'll call it a end for the stream. But I would just say, with all this crazy shit, just be cautious, especially with women like Janet luring your kids. I mean, that's what it seems like to me. With no kind of responsibility or whatever. Someone laced mine with PCP when I was 16. Yo, there's a lot of people that will mess with you just to mess with you, just to see your reaction. Fentanyl, the reason it's killing people is because it's getting from overseas, pure and selling. Fentanyl is really really strong medication. I used to make fentanyl. I used to make fentanyl IVs at my previous job. Fentanyl is dosed in micrograms. It's not even milligrams. It's micrograms. So 1 milligram of fentanyl is really 1,000 micrograms of fentanyl. 250 micrograms could kill you. It's like a little teeny wincy. 500 micrograms could kill you. That stuff can kill you. You usually have to have like an anesthesiologist watch you. Like, the stuff is no joke.
Where are you? Where are you? We're here in the same place in the car.
Oh, there's another thing too. This video reminds me. I'm trying to remember what the name of this stuff was.
Tell me where you are. We're here. We're right here. They're next to you. You got your hand on my arm. You're right here. Who? David. Who?
There's something else that makes you trip. It's not weed. It's called.
Who?
Trying to remember the name.
Who? It's crazy. Who the
Salvia. Bro, salvia.
Bang, bang. What's up, iCkEdMeL? Let's talk about it. Magic mushroom, psilocybin. The FDA approved for fast tracking
Salvia, yes.
and approval process.
Oh my God,
now,
salvia.
I'd like to know from you guys your
Bro.
thoughts. There's been studies
Mescaline
where
too.
people have
Peyote.
gotten treated with mushrooms, and it's shown to have improved anxiety, depression, parts of the brains that were associated with that type of emotion were not lighting up as before. So the FDA is
DMT is something that I show kids stuff, my kids stuff like DMT. DMT is something that, like, I don't know. I don't ever want to do any of that stuff. As to the mushrooms, again, I don't think I could ever do it. But DMT is something that I maybe in a controlled environment, because DMT is just so fascinating to me. It's one of the chemicals that's, first of all, it's a chemical that's in all life, even in plants and stuff. And when you die, I believe DMT is released in your body. And so people will say that whole thing where you're like your life flashes before your eyes and stuff. DMT is also released, I think, when you're dreaming and stuff. And so DMT is released from your body when you die. And I think they say that's like the whole where you go to the next wherever you're going. It's really interesting.
It's actually going to be fast tracking this and improving it. And I thought I'd maybe share my experience with mushrooms. Was that a little too much? I think it was too much. I tried mushrooms once, way back in the day, 2010, not that long ago. Had 2 grams. I was with a couple of friends. I never shared the story before. My thoughts on mushrooms, I think if it's in a controlled environment, because I feel that there's so many factors regarding tripping, you know, set and setting.
Definitely
you
replay.
gotta have the right people around you. You want to be comfortable. I really don't think it's something that you want to use partying, even though people do. I think it's something if you're going to do recreationally, it's something that you want to like connect to the world, to life, the environment around you, to the people that you're with. Just to give a little bit of my experience, I was with a couple of people that I didn't know too well. And looking back in hindsight, I should have been with people that I'm more comfortable with. But the experience wasn't bad. It was really interesting. My senses were heightened like by like 100. You know, like to give you an example, it was at a park. We went to a park. And it was like exploring this park, and at one point a spider web. You know how you walk into a spider web? The spider web got on my arm. When I felt the spider web go on my arm, it felt like heavy. Like it was, the sensation was that strong. You know how small a little spider web is. My sense of hearing was super strong. My sense of smell was enhanced. It put me in like in a really deep state of mind. Like I was just in deep thought, thinking about life. It can sometimes put you like, if you got to be careful too if you're tripping, because if you're dealing with some like serious stuff, or you haven't dealt with some stuff in your life that you've been ignoring, and then all of a sudden you go tripping, more than likely that thought or emotion is going to come up, and you're going to kind of have to deal with it. You can try to run from it, but when you're tripping, there's not really much running from your thoughts. You know, you got to face it and kind of
37
deal with that. But I think microdosing or in a controlled environment, for sure, I think it probably could help with some sort of depression or an anxiety. I think the microdosing thing is really interesting. Microdosing, I think, could be very beneficial, and it's interesting now that the FDA is turning around. I'm sure, of course, they're going to put money behind this. They're going to make money off of this, and that's probably why. The other thing,
ecstasy at 1.2, ecstasy, they used to find therapeutic value in ecstasy. I think it was used during therapy, and then at one point, there's like a whole history with ecstasy, and then it became, I think, banned or whatever, because people were just, you know, partying with it and going crazy. Acid causes as holes in the brain, leading to dementia. That stuff is no joke. I really would not. I made this one video about the shrooms as a cautionary thing, because these kids think that they could just take this shit and it's whatever. And it really isn't. It's very, very serious. And if you're with the wrong people, I mean, it's horrible when you're with the wrong people. I was with the wrong people. When you're with the wrong people, it can have detrimental, life-altering effects. You know, some people, what I realized with that stuff too, because I knew people that tried it too, some people can take this stuff and their state of mind before taking it, they're already in a people just they're not deep thinkers. They're just, everything is surface level with these people. So when they take this shit and they're seeing colors, it's whatever to them, because that their life is already at that level of But for deep thinkers or somebody that's dealing with some shit, or if you had trauma in your life and then you decide to trip, it's most likely going to come up in your face. And if you're in the wrong environment or with the wrong people or people that are not supportive when you're going through that, it can be horrible. You know?
The thing too, when I was tripping on that was time.
Time was like, the concept of time was just gone. Bro.
And that's literally true.
It was like,
there was, I've told a few people this story. Like
I was tripping
after
out.
The park, we went to somebody's house, and it was really hot. One of the things you start to do too is you start to like sweat. You got to drink a lot of water. I looked at the microwave, right, and it said 10:30. Looked away, it felt like an hour had passed by. I looked back, 10:31. Like I was just like, you know what I'm saying? So I really think that it shouldn't be, especially your first time, it shouldn't be in a crazy environment. And I'm not advocating use of this, you know what I'm saying? But I think in a controlled environment with doctors or whatever it is, and you're trying to get over some things, trauma that you've gone through in your life, and the studies are showing that this helps, I'm totally for it. What I kind of like about mushrooms too is that it's natural. It's from the earth. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like you're taking a substance that, like, sometimes I don't know if you're ever taking a supplement or you're taking a medication and it just feels like your body doesn't feel right. You feel like it's foreign. And honestly, mushroom psilocybin is kind of poison. It's like poisoning your body, but you know, you just start to trip. That's all the effects. It feels more natural versus something synthetic. You know, it can be very confusing sometimes. You might not be able to kind of make sense of things, or if you're like me, I'm an overthinker. You know,
I knew somebody that was undilauded. Yeah, and I knew somebody that was medicated fentanyl, and then they got like kind of hooked on it. Actually, my friend that passed away from sickle cell, I remember before he passed away, like it was me and Kenny. I was really cool with that guy. We used to game and all that stuff. We had gotten into one argument. I told the story a couple times before. We had gotten into one argument, the first argument in like years, got into one argument. And he was in the hospital. I went to go visit him. I was actually there the day he passed away, like in the hospital when he coded and shit. I worked at the same hospital he was admitted in. But he told me the Percocet and all this other stuff, the Dilaudid, I think that they were giving him, he was kind of struggling with it a little bit, you know, because of just like he felt he was hooked on it, you know. But we made amends, which was pretty amazing. But I never forget that too, Kenny, because I remember walking up to his body in the ICU, and his family was there, and they were crying. It was fucking horrible. And I walked up to him and I touched his forehead, and it was kind of cold. And yeah, I never forget that. That shit was crazy as hell.
The way this stuff affects people is different from person to person. I'm somebody that typically can have high anxiety, and I was able to handle it, but I've learned how to handle it with some of the past experiences that I've had with that anxiety and the whole mental thing and trying to get over it and not letting it consume you. And you can get into this thing, especially I used to get panic attacks where like your heart's like beating, and then you start thinking about your heart beating, and that causes like another trigger, and like it's just like the cycle. It just keeps going and going and going and going. You know, I had to learn how to like mentally overcome that and find out what was causing that. One of the things I had to deal with when I was tripping that time on mushrooms was I had to deal with my dad. Like my dad had passed away that year. And it's not something that I wanted to deal with. It's something that I avoided, but he was on my head, and I was just thinking of different thoughts about it, kind of going through that whole mental process. For a while, I actually pushed myself away from the group because there was a lot of immature people in that group, and you don't want to be tripping too, unless that's the kind of vibe you want. There's some people that will try to mess with you while you're tripping and joke around with you or tell you something's there when something's not really there, and your brain's already like trying to process everything at such a immense high level, and then you have somebody else messing with you. It can really kind of ruin your experience. So let's get a little bit more into the story about what actually happened that day, and this is more for educational purposes. I really don't advocate using this or doing some of the dangerous things that was done that day. It started out with some friends. I use that word loosely. I met them somewhere by Miami, and we went to go get the mushrooms, and I got 2 grams and I ate it. It was raw, the actual raw like mushroom, like drying up or whatever. I ate it. I was still driving, which I don't recommend you do. And as I was driving, I started to feel it pretty fast, within like 15 minutes. I hadn't eaten anything. So as I recommended, you should have somebody that's a babysitter or somebody that's watching over you, that's sober, you know, in case things start to get a little funny. You have somebody that can guide you, that can think clearly. And so I asked that person, they went ahead and started driving. But before they started driving, one of the cons about this experience and what I was telling you earlier about the people that I was with is a little immature. And looking back, like at that time I was kind of laughing, but looking back, it's like dangerous. The other car, because it was 2 cars, the person that was next to me driving, they had their windows down, had my windows down. And as I'm driving, as the car's going forward, the guy goes like, hey, your car's in park. So to a normal person that's sober, that's not that doesn't have an altered perception, you're gonna be like, "What are you even talking about?" But to the mind of somebody that's just starting to feel mushrooms, I looked at my gears a little bit and I was kind of checking. I was like, "Oh no, he's trolling me or whatever," So it was kind of funny, but not really, because you could really end up doing something dangerous at that moment. And that's when I was like, "Let me switch. Let me get this other person to drive." So anyway, we went to the park. Park was amazing.
So let me stop right here just to tell you guys real quick. So I was with these kind of random people. This was a long, long time ago, Miami. And I knew these people through one chick. I didn't really know them. And, we take the shrooms. It was 2 grams. It's nasty. If you've ever had shrooms, it's pretty nasty. Take 2 grams, eat it, and then we go to drive to a park. And I'm the one driving. And it hit me a lot faster than I thought. And while we're driving, and this is what I'd say, like being around the wrong people, a lot of these, and I think about it now because I think about when my daughter gets older, or maybe as a parent and you guys with your kids, you may think you know what your kids are doing. You have no idea. Because I can tell you right now, my parents had no idea what I was doing. But as I was driving, this guy pulls up next to me. He was on the stuff too. And he's like, "Yo, your car's in park. We are moving. The car's accelerating." He's like, "Yo, your car's in park." And I'm like, "Oh shit." And I'm kind of like, just because I'm under them, that's how dangerous that shit can get. You know what I'm saying? I can look back in hindsight and kind of laugh. But then at the same time, when I think of these kind of situations with kids or whatever they're into now, it's very dangerous,
It's a great place to be. I love nature. If you like being outdoors and nature, I recommend it if that's what you're going to do in a controlled environment with somebody that's sober. It's really nice maybe to go to like a beach or a park and just explore. That was really fun to me, the park part. One of the other parts in the park that I thought was really amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I could handle that stuff now. I'm too old. I got a child now.
It started to get dark in the park. It was already like almost getting pitch black. There was one part of the park that we walked to. The sober guy, he was leading the group of people that were tripping. Okay. So there was this part where like there's these trees covering like over the top, and it went to this completely pitch black area where you could not see in front of you. And me tripping, especially for the first time, first time on mushrooms, I saw that dark part and I was like, hell no, man, I'm not going through that. There's no way I'm going through that pitch black part. And the guy looked at me and he told me something like,
"The only way to get to the light is to go through the darkness."
Turns out there's a whole world of mushrooms.
There's an ad, and there's an ad for mushrooms.
Engineer and first build. Some of
What
you
the
might
hell?
know you can grow mushrooms at home. I personally have been really excited.
I didn't know this was a thing on YouTube. They're advocating for mushrooms and how to grow it at home. There's an ad. Like, what the hell? Oh my god.
At that time, it seemed so profound to me, and it still kind of is. But when you're in that altered state, it was just profound. And I was like, he's right. And I walked through that darkness, man, and I literally could not see in front of me. I couldn't see the people next to me. It was a couple of feet
me too,
ahead,
Jax.
so I saw a light again.
I've had
that
that fear.
To me was pretty amazing. And it kind of goes back to like facing your fears. There was another part in the park before we left where we were standing in the parking lot and we were talking, and there was a train. The train must have been miles away, but the hearing sense, my hearing was so enhanced that it literally sounded like the train was coming right at me. Even though I'm looking and I'm standing in a parking lot, the train sounds so loud that at one point, and this is how trippy it can get, at one point I'm like, what if I imagined that I'm standing in a parking lot, but I'm actually standing in a train track and there's a train coming, but I'm so looped out of my head that I'm looping myself just talking about it. But if I'm standing in the parking lot in my head, but I'm actually standing on a train track and I hear the train coming, but I think I'm standing in the parking lot. Like, you start to kind of have those crazy thoughts. Not everybody has that. So that's why I say I can't recommend it for everybody, because you really don't want to be doing something crazy and not have somebody looking over you, which is kind of really important. You know what I'm saying? Your senses aren't completely gone, but your perception is altered. And if you don't have that ability to be able to kind of like, okay, this is what's kind of going on, or somebody to kind of knock you back in and tell you, hey, you know, you're fine. Oh, and something I actually skipped over before we got to the park. I'm sorry, it's all coming back to me. On the way to the park, after I asked the person to drive my car, okay, the person driving my car, I already started feeling the shrooms. We go to like pick somebody up or whatever. On the way over there, I asked if we're at the park already, like, are we stopped? Because I couldn't even tell. Like, I would look out the window and there was so much going on because I guess it hit me hard, the shrooms, that I couldn't really tell exactly what was going on outside. I couldn't tell if we were stopped at one point. And like, I went to go look at the window and I kind of went for the door and somebody's like, no, like, don't, no, man, no. So I was like, it kind of like snapped me back into like more of a reality. So like, that's kind of the dangers too.
And that shit is all true. It almost freaks me out just thinking about that story, but it's so true. This shit that I've never told anybody, the acid trip, I've never told that story. I think one day I will. But and that acid one was the craziest thing I've ever been through in my entire life, hands down. But like even with the train situation where we got to this park and it got to be nighttime. And we're standing there in the parking lot, and I hear the train. I started having these crazy thoughts of like, what if I'm actually standing on the train track, but it looks like I'm standing in the park? You just get this crazy ass thoughts, you know, and your senses are like overly enhanced. And I could only imagine if somebody that has any kind of, well, I had an anxiety for sure, but any kind of mental illness. And Jack said to me either I was afraid of permanently tripping. I was also afraid of that too. I was afraid of getting stuck in a trip, like a redundant trip. I was also afraid of the concept of time scared me because when I was tripping, it just, like I said, that one experience, I looked at the microwave. While I was on the mushroom trip, somebody handed me that book, the DMT Spirit Mind or whatever book. That book was the most interesting thing that night. But I thought I was like stuck. You start to think like you're stuck in this whatever thing you're in. You start to freak out. You start to think, how can I end this thing that I'm stuck in? You know? And when you're in a trip, there's no coming out. You got to ride that shit out. There's no, all right, I want to stop this. I want to cancel this. No, you're in that shit.
That some people may not tell you about shrooms. That's why I say I'm okay with a micro-dosing controlled environment. I would never advocate for anybody just to do it because they think you're going to get some sort of knowledge or introspective thoughts out of it. We left the park. The guy drove the car again. It was really, I was in an uncomfortable position. And this is what I talked about. You really want to be somewhere where you're comfortable. You know, somebody that I don't know too well is driving my car. We're in the car with him. He claimed to be sober. He seemed like he was sober, but who knows if he really was sober. We go to the house. And right when we get to the house, there's this other girl there. She's having a bad trip. Now, when you're tripping, like I said, that like your senses are heightened. Well, the problem is too is that if somebody's having a bad trip, you're absorbing literally everything around you. Your environment is like you become one with everything around you. So when you have somebody that's like, there was this chick like, I'm having a bad trip.
Yo, it's true.
You're just like. Somebody get this chick.
This chick was screaming. Yo, I'm trying to deal with my own problems. And there's this one girl they brought out there. She's screaming. I'm tripping. I'm a bad trip. It's like, oh my God. Somebody calm
this out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like it was too much for me. It was messing up my whole vibe, bro. So, you know, you really want to make sure that you're comfortable. You know, if somebody freaks out, you can't control it. But you want to make sure that everybody's aware. You know, none of us.
The hell's wrong with that bitch?
I didn't know them too well.
Calm it down.
And the other thing that I didn't like, it was this other part. Remember how I told you people were messing around and joking? I guess somebody from the party had a friend come by, but he had like police sirens at the top of his truck. So like the guy pulled up and it's like, woo, 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 woo. I'm like, yeah, everybody was like freaked out. It was funny after, but like stuff like that, you know, it's a bunch of trolling and stuff like that. And I don't think that for the first time, that's a really good way to go about tripping. So we were in the house. The person, somebody.
That's what happens when you trip with white people. I'm sorry, you gotta say it. They start bringing out cops, like fake sirens and all kind of shit.
Give me a book, The Spirit Mind, the DMT Spirit Mind, whatever it's called. And I actually started reading a book. It's like a really introspective kind of trip. You know what I'm saying? You can have great conversations. I told you about the microwave experience where the concept of time was just gone. And it really makes you think about too, and I've had these thoughts before, like time is what we make it to be. Time is what we have on our clocks. You know what I'm saying? Time is what we tell it to be. But if there was no clocks, if there's no nothing, like we really wouldn't be able to tell time. Even night and day, we just decide the times by, I don't know. I'm getting way too off. But the microwave thing too, that was just crazy to me, where like it literally time. I think what happens is, and this is what I learned about time,
it's really your perception of things, right? And it's like if you're at work and you're super busy, the processing of all the things that are going on at once, more information being processed, it makes the time feel go faster. It's your perception.
But when you're slow or you don't have anything going on, it feels like everything is going slow and your day takes a lot longer. So when you're tripping,
your mind is processing so many things at once at a higher rate than normal.
I did, Stacey.
It seems like everything is going slow. You ever seen like in movies or something like that the thing is going so freaking fast that at one point everything actually starts to look slow? So time is really a perception kind of thing. Do I feel enlightened from tripping? No. I've had experiences in the past that have opened up my mind, I think, towards that world and realm, but tripping is not something that I actually really kind of enjoy, and it's probably because of the wrong scenario that I was in, and now I feel like I'm too old for that anyway. At one point too, somebody started playing ICP and saying,
"Oh my god!"
and it was like some weird, like devil satanic music to me. That's some weird music. I don't know how anybody could listen to it, but especially while tripping, to start hearing that weird stuff. There was one part, there was a scene in the song where there's cops banging on the door, there's all this chaotic stuff. I'm like, who the hell is playing this stuff? And it starts to, like I said, you absorb everything. You start to think like, damn, is there really cops knocking at the door, or is it still this track that somebody's playing in the background? You know what I'm saying? So I really think set and setting, really important who you do it with. And, people that have mental health problems, I hear that tripping can actually agitate them.
So we'll end at that as far as that. But yeah, that was my crazy shroom story. Maybe one day I'll talk about the other story. Yeah, but it was insane. It was insane, especially that these people started playing ICP. This is like the ICP is like the murder, kill, whatever. There was a clip playing where like cops are banging on our door. I'm just like, yo, this is like too much. It also taught me a little bit about the construct of time, because time is a social construct, but I think it's a very important social construct. But there was this video too. I think I'll play this and then we'll end the stream. Just as far as Dave Chappelle did a video on shrooms one time too. But I guess it's just I've had even horrible experiences on THC marijuana. I don't like it. It's not for me. But some people that are experts in that say you just haven't had the right strain. It's not for me. I've had experiences where I just smoked and I literally leave a group of people. I've had experiences where I'll literally leave the club. Hey, Mel, hey, I'm the driver, because none of these bums had cars. I'm the driver. We go to this place. Hey, here, Mel. Yo, I got to go. No, man, no. I'm out. I'm done. The club experience is done. We're not having fun tonight. I'm out of this bitch. I've had experiences like that.
Maybe weed. We're going to do something. Do a little weed. Smoke. Weed's not as bad as everything else. So weed is a background substance.
And that's what I say. THC really has different effects on everybody. What Wendy said. It's really, for some people, it's just, I don't know.
I mean, you can smoke some herb and still function. You ain't crisp.
Oh, thank you for coming.
But you'll function. Nothing higher than weed, though. I made that mistake one time. I was at a party. Some guy gave me some shit. He's like, here, man, take this. It's fucking mushrooms.
Here, buddy, take this. You'll have a good time.
I took it. I forgot all about it, Then a couple days later, I found that shit in my pocket. I'm thinking, why not? Because I'm thinking it's like weed. Some background shit. I planned my whole day out like it was weed. I'll chew this shit up. Then I'll go to the barber shop, get my hair cut, and then I'll see a movie. I chewed it up. So far, so good. Then I was in a barber shop like an hour later. And it's funny because I was just thinking to myself, I was like, whoo, this stuff sucks. Tastes like an athlete's foot.
Tastes nasty.
I feel sick, but I'm not really high. Then I looked in the mirror.
And that's the one thing about tripping. They always say, don't look in the mirror. Which when I went to go trip with these people on shrooms, and this is what I said, these people will always try you and have you doing crazy shit. They're like, Mel, go look in the mirror. Here's a big ass mirror. Go look in the mirror, Mel.
I saw the barber's reflection, man. It looked like a big penis was cutting my hair. I freaked out. I started talking to myself, Dave, calm down. You're on drugs. This is what drugs do. Okay, you know that there is no way that a penis can cut hair. But I started freaking out, man. I just couldn't take it anymore. I jumped out the chair. Half my hair was cut. I didn't care. Then I just gave a barber a handful of money. Holes opened up. Anyway,
What happened?
I ran home, man. Fast. Tripping.
Cutting up.
Damn. 2:42. I gotta sober up. I had never been this high this early. I took a shower. I was still high. I said maybe music will do the trick. I listened to every CD I had. I was still high.
No escaping.
Exercise. That's what I'll do. I ran around the block 4 times. Still high. Took a nap, woke up, fucked up. I looked at the clock, it was 2:43. I said, God damn.
From 2:42 to 2:43. And like I said, that experience was so true for me. The concept or perception of time is out the window completely. That can be really scary. I always found that skit really funny because it's very true. I think comedy is really funny when it's mixed with truth. It's probably the best type of comedy. But I think that's it. Thank you guys for coming for the live stream, man. I'm feeling all this congestion and stuff come up. I'm going to keep following the Quawan stuff. I really hope that they figure something out. But I was kind of afraid of this whole toxicology kind of coming back. And it's like there's no real answer to what happened, you know? I don't know, but definitely, you know, at least Janet will be somewhat held responsible. Maybe they'll get her talking. You know, where does she get her stuff? Where does she get her supply from? And also, a lot of kids are going through that stuff these days. I mean, I remember with THC. I remember long time ago when I first came to Florida, I went to go hang out with this group. It was a friend of mine. She was a lesbian. She was cool. And, oh, come over. I went over there. The people that I knew, they were all into the crazy stuff. It wasn't like regular weed. All these kids nowadays and all this stuff these people smoke, it got to be something crazy. It's not just like your regular stuff. It's like this crazy, synthesized, crazy stuff. I guess it took 1 or 2 hits. It must have been 1 or 2 hits, I guess. And I was freaking out. My heart was just like literally just. And at first I went to the bathroom. I put water on my face. Didn't do nothing. I went and sat back down with the group, and my heart was just. So I just get up. I didn't tell nobody nothing. I just get up and I walk out towards the car. I texted a friend. I was like, hey, I gotta leave. Like, I'm just. one or two of them came out to me, but sometimes with people, I'm kind of like that. There's not many people that can kind of calm me down or talk me down when it's a panic attack. So I get in my car and I go to drive home. Now on the drive home, I'm one of those people too that I can't drive. Like while I've had some THC in my body, I cannot drive. The roads, it was really dark. The roads somehow are longer. You have to constantly check the speed that you're driving to make sure it's not your perception that's wrong. Yo, the roads, it was a dark road. The trees are over. And I'm just like, yo, this thing is just getting longer and longer and longer. And it's kind of interesting. That's why I tell the story to kind of say that for some people, it may not be the normal experience that everybody else has. I get home, and this was just from THC. I didn't even drink. I had nothing, just from smoking. I think it was 2 hits from the craziest shit these people had. I get home and I'm laying in my bed, and my heart is just pounding to the point of what I'm thinking of even going to the hospital. Just pounding. And I start looking up videos on panic attacks, and I start Google searching panic attacks, and I start reading that like once your heart gets into the adrenaline rush, it takes I don't know how long, 2 or 3 minutes, I forget, before your heart gets back to normal. And so it's constantly in my mind that if I keep freaking out, my heart's going to keep staying in this state of an anxiety. I must have been there like in a crawled up corner probably for like 2 hours, yo, like in my bed freaking out. I haven't had that in years, but that shit was horrible. I literally thought I was going to die. That's just from smoking. And I'm assuming that's regular weed. But I just know that the friends that I had, they're into the next level shit. Every time they got to get the stronger shit. To one point, they started doing dabs, another set of friends, where it's like this THC wax, and they take a burner to it, and they melt the wax, and they put it in this contraption. It almost looks like people smoking crack, but it's weed. So, yeah. It took me a while to overcome that. It takes a lot of mental fortitude. And so I could imagine if somebody's younger. I know I was over 18. I must have been in my younger 20s at the time. And this was after, I believe, the mushroom and acid trip. And so I had a lot of mental fortitude. But I can imagine for somebody that doesn't have that mental fortitude, especially if you're younger and you don't know that, okay, it's going to be okay. Eventually, it's going to be okay. You might freak out. But I still, with Quawan, it doesn't make sense to me for that little bit of water to kill yourself. It doesn't make sense. So forcibly, I'm going to lay out and just, unless he had some sort of seizure or something, I don't know, which I thought that would be able to be detected in the autopsy, Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't want none of this stuff these kids are smoking these days. I don't want none of that shit. You guys are crazy, all these kids, man, on that crack weed shit. Crack weed and PCP mixed together shit. I don't want none of it. But yeah, thank you guys for coming. I really appreciate it. When you said I tripped on an X one time, my first time, it hit really fast, and me and my friend were ducking under traffic. Wow. Well, the things with X2, those pills, a lot of the times you don't know what it's mixed with. You don't know what it's pressed with. With ecstasy, a lot of the times most of these kids were getting fake shit. That's why I was always advocating and saying get a testing kit. Because these people are just mixing meth and all other kinds of stuff. Oh, Lord. Lisa says she's dabbing right now. I dabbed once, never again. Never again. Bruh. Never again. That dab stuff is way too much. I'm dabbing right now. Oh, shit, Lisa. Lisa said, I feel he had a seizure. They found an autopsy. They probably could have saved Quawan, though. Maybe, I don't know if that lady would have reported it the first day. As soon as he went missing, it could have been a whole different scenario. Oh Lord, Sarah. Yeah, you came in at the very end. I'm still sick. I'm still congested, but I'm getting a lot better. So, but I wanted to come and give you guys the update and share a little bit of my experience, some of the stories that a lot of these kids are into these days, looking horrible and mess. Yeah, G Money, you got to be real careful with that stuff. A lot of it is mixed. Back in the way, literally everything was good. Yeah, I came in at the end of where everything was good. I came right at the end where they started mixing all this crazy stuff. Thanks. What spice? It's fake weed. I'm gonna get off right now, but that's let me show you real quick. It's just fake weed. People that it's really, really horrible. People have had to go to the hospital, they've had panic attacks, they've had tachycardia, people have died. And the thing with spice is you can definitely trip. For sure, you can hallucinate, trip, all kinds of shit. It's chemicals. That's all it is. They literally spray shit on there. So, but yeah, thank you guys again. I really appreciate you for joining the live stream. And take care of yourselves. Be safe. Peace. Vitamin C and zinc. Yeah, I need to get some zinc in me. I've been taking vitamin C, but I need to get some zinc in me. All right.